Drop everything and clear those ears. It's time for the Dave and Dave Show.
Dave and Dave is on the air.
I give a real. I miss that. Thank you. Nobody can do it like you do it.
Go. Stretch it out. Come on, Dave.
Yeah, Dave's at the track. Let's stretch it out. Jersey Dave, what do you say? What do you know?
There's Dave McGee. Well, it's still cold and miserable out here.
But I figured you'd be basking in the sunlight heat of your Fly Eagles Fly victory. Well done.
On the wing flap. I don't know. I mean, it was surprising. I guess surprising. And nobody'd seen Kansas City get beat like that in a long time. Ever. And since this guy's been playing quarterback, this guy's been the coach, I don't remember them looking that sad against anybody. But I was trying to explain that I've seen that happen before in the Super Bowl and in big games in any sport, but especially when they get to the big level, like you'll see a team in the Final Four, and you'll see one team absolutely play their worst game of the season by far, and the other team perhaps play their best, and it ends up being this just incredible blowout game that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you can't expect those two extremes.
Yeah.
I don't think the Eagles and the defensive coordinator and their fans, anybody expected them to be able to get that kind of pressure on them. I mean, I know that the fact that Kansas City doesn't really run the ball, that was a factor.
Huge.
They've usually been able to get away with that, though, and they just couldn't do anything. I mean, that game, another thing that I was saying during the past week was that 40-22 does not indicate no game went. And that, even though looks like a blowout game, it was far worse than that. They had 24 yards of offense at halftime. 24? It's one decent play. 20.
Yeah, you can't just say
they didn't have the ball.
Patrick Mahomes, his worst game, and it was.
Yeah, he played it
He didn't have to blitz. They were getting enough pressure with four guys, so go ahead and throw. Go ahead. And yeah, you're right. They had been getting away with that all year. Even against a porous defense like Buffalo, that should have been the indicator. I was blinded. I was definitely blinded by the light there, to quote the boss. But, yeah.
We saw our man, Steve Servey of the Post. His reckoning was, I guess he's gone against the Chiefs a few too many times in the playoffs and the Super Bowl because that was his logic. He said, I'm not going against them. They just figure out a way to win. Well, not this time.
No. And kudos to Philly. They played just about the perfect game. They were hungry. They, very hard to three-peat in any sport. But yeah, great effort by Philly. And good job by Jersey Coach Dave picking those Eagles. Well done, Grasshopper.
I mean, to me, it was pretty simple. Just balance, just being able to do everything that's required to win a football game. Definitely one of the top defenses in the league. Didn't think they're as good as they looked on Sunday. But the ability to throw the ball and run the ball. And I think another thing is that, yes, Hurts is like the modern quarterback where running is a big part of his game. But he just seems to be so much more in control of that running than these other guys. Even Jackson, even these guys are putting up these amazing numbers running the ball and throwing, all sorts of offense. But Hurts just seems to do it when it makes sense. And if there's nothing else there, but there's 10 yards of open field ahead of him, he's going to take it. He's going to get you first down. They can't stop him on those short yardage plays, which is huge. How many times we were talking about it all winter long, college games and pro games. The Detroit Lions would like to have that push in their offensive arsenal. If they were able to always get a first down or a touchdown on 3rd and short, 4th and short, we might be talking about them right now.
Exactly.
They couldn't do anything.
No deal.
Eagles almost never get stopped.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And the Eagles really didn't need their run game after a while, after a short while. Barkley was not a factor because he didn't have to be. The offensive line took care of that. Their pass, protection was elite. I never heard of Chris Jones, until he was sitting on his back holding his knee or his ankle, I think it was. I didn't hear his name at all. So
Saquon obviously wasn't getting the kind of yards we're used to seeing him getting with this team this season, but
didn't have to
exactly getting shut down. Yeah, a couple of loss here and there, but still getting a few yards here, a few yards there, and not getting away from what you do. I mean, I finally great that they didn't they're stopping Saquon, and all of a sudden the Philadelphia Eagles turn into a team that's throwing the ball on every down. They didn't do that. They had the luck.
Play action was top notch, and they connected big time. The two big, but they weren't playing from behind. They weren't playing from, Mahomes and those turnovers. You don't turn the ball over inside the 30 and a pick six. Like to hang around.
When the quarterback runs the way the Eagles do it, which is fairly judicious with the, running the quarterback intentionally, or, he scrambles when a passing play breaks down, that team, even with Saquon being controlled, let's say, by the Chiefs, relatively speaking, to what he normally does, that team still had close to 100 yards rushing at halftime, okay? Granted, a lot of it was the quarterback, but those yards count, okay? Yeah. That counts. So they had 100 yards rushing. Another thing is, I'm not really even a huge Jalen Hurts fan, but I got to give that guy all the credit in the world, including the one play that got called back because of the receiver got his hand in the defender's face. Every one of the deep balls that he threw in the first half were not just good pass, they were right on the money. I mean, basically hitting the receiver 30 yards downfield in the numbers every time, dropping it in over the top of a defender, and it hitting the guy perfectly in stride. I mean, he threw a lot of gorgeous balls, especially at the beginning of that game. I just think it set the tone, and the Chiefs were kind of like, uh-oh, we're up against something here.
Well, they couldn't get to him. The pass protection was great. And like you mentioned, the one time where they were, or a couple times where they were blitzing, Barkley is such a stud. He steps up and blocks. He can handle any safety and a good portion of the linebackers. He's, driven to win. You got guys on that, that team like that, they're hungry. They looked hungry.
I think they were still looking back at that game 2 years ago and thinking they should have won that game.
Yeah, sure.
Exactly. Not as good a team as they had this year.
Yeah. They wanted another shot at these guys. No doubt about it.
They got rid of that defensive lineman, that pass rush specialist who was a real headache, who wouldn't sign with them in camp. And then they traded him to the Jets and was time with the Jets for weeks and weeks. I'm telling you, sometimes you get rid of a guy like that and it's a net positive. Correct. Statistics on defense and sacks and rushing the passer and everything. Everybody might have thought, oh boy, we can't afford to lose him. That might have been the best thing that ever happened to that defense, was getting rid of that guy, because he's a cancer. So another shrewd move by the Jets front office, being interested in that guy when a team as good as the Eagles and as well run as the Eagles are unloading him. That ought to tell you something. You don't necessarily want to jump on that guy. This team obviously knows what they've been doing. They've been in the playoffs for several years. They're a competitive team now. They're Super Bowl champions. But you're gonna pick up one of their castle because they just don't like the guy. He had value, if they thought he added something to the team that they couldn't replace, they would have done everything they could to keep him, and they couldn't trade him to the Jets fast enough. I think they traded him to the Jets for a 4th round draft pick or something pathetic. I'm not right. We wouldn't even sign with the Jets. So, when teams make moves like that, the 85 Bears had those 2 holdouts, 2 guys who were all pro. Who was it? Was it Otis Wilson and Todd Bell, the safety? 85 Bears. Greatest defense maybe in the history of the NFL. They let 2 all-pro defenders walk. And just, you don't want to honor your contract? You want us to renegotiate? We got other guys. And then they went out there and, just showed the world that they didn't need those guys. And those guys, basically, their careers were over. They didn't do a whole lot after that. I'm sure the same could be said for this clown that the Jets traded for. Waste of time. Well, the little Jets fencing here, even though
beat a champion, really on the ropes when it comes to their sports team. So, congrats to the green. Speaking of green, let's make some green. Dave, we going across the pond for some picks?
Yeah, we're going to go across the pond for some picks.
All right, lads, let's go. Let's leave this football game
Back to the Premier League.
and let's go forward. Where are we headed?
There's a very good article in ESPN today, as a matter of fact, about Nottingham Forest and how they're 3rd right now in Premier League, and nobody expected them to be anywhere near the top.
No, never.
And also, they have a ton of injuries. It's nuts that they keep playing well.
Robin Hood.
Not kind of I'm thinking maybe a little bit of a Sports Illustrated jinx, and the fact that they're playing at Fulham, and Fulham is also sort of a, let's just say underrated squad. I won't say program, underrated squad over there.
All right.
And Fulham is at home, where they've been notoriously really tough last few seasons, but certainly this year. And in fact, Fulham is even though Forest is 3rd in the table, having such a great season, Fulham is favored in this game, plus 120. If you take Forest, you're getting plus 235, which is awfully tempting. But you know me, I'm looking at this as an even money affair. So why not go with the draw? Plus 240 Fulham and Nottingham Forest. I think at the very least, it'll be a very entertaining, hard-fought game. The next one, I'm looking for another even match with a team that's got to be coming off a little bit of a sugar high here. The other day, Everton, they're tearing down their stadium. It's like the oldest stadium in professional.
We walked that one together.
Everton's beach. It's always
After that game,
packed, but Everton is tearing the old lady down at the end.
heading to your boys there, Crystal Palace.
Oh, that's right.
Jesus, you're going.
It's just, I said, with David Noyes, the coach, and everything, Everton's playing well. Crystal Palace is also, playing a hell of a lot better than they were at the beginning of the year, which was terrible. Both these teams actually awful at the beginning of the season, and now playing very well and can pretty much go toe-to-toe with anybody. Crystal Palace has had a lot of trouble scoring goals at home, though, all year. And I'm hoping that keeps this game a little tight, too. Not really tempted to go with Everton to win straight up. I think they're still cruising. Oh, so what happened the other day was they're playing their inner city. It's a derby. It's a Liverpool derby. They're playing Liverpool at home for the last time in this stadium. They were 2-1. It was literally no time left in the game. Extra time, maybe seconds left. Could have been considered to be the last.
They're still singing
of the game. Oh my God. And the guy slams it in for Everton. And there's no roof on the place. But if there were, it would have come off because
for the tie.
Just exploded. Yes. For a tie. Yeah. But a tie against Liverpool.
Sport, where you celebrate a tie,
And they really, they had very few ties against Liverpool in the last 30 years. I'd say they really do not fare well against Liverpool. So they were very happy, especially the way they did it in the dying seconds. I mean, if that had been for a win, forget about it. It would have been, they would have just said, okay, that's it. We're not playing any more games. We can't do any better than this. But they did get the tie out of that. They're riding a high. They got a coach who knows what he's doing in there for them. Crystal Palace has a little bit of trouble scoring at home, so I'm looking for another tight, low-scoring affair here. Draw plus 245, Crystal Palace and Everton.
Nice number, plus 245, and they're pretty evenly matched.
If you get one of those, you're happy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. You get both
Two, and you're still making
one of those.
some shillings, some shekels, some drachma, some pounds
sterling,
some thing. Yeah, that's a slimy ass bastards.
quid on the game.
Let's trade a one round ball for the other, the orange round ball. And we're getting close to March Madness. We're heating up. I certainly hope we heat up here, and we're going to celebrate our Valentine's Day specials. No massacres, just the specials, because we love all our subscribers, all our visitors. And Dave, we got 5 picks each. We got a nice Saturday card. We got all the lines. They're all there. But you want to start us off?
No, I want you to, because I just all that kickball crap.
That's it, yes. And you do that so well, and I enjoy that. No accent. God bless you, no accent there. All right, lad. Huge game. Number 1 against number 2, Auburn visiting Alabama. I was handicapping it. I didn't come up with anything. I know Bama is so strong at home. They just tallied, they just shot, I think it was like 50% from the field. And Auburn going into Alabama. Crazy, right? Number 1, number 2 in college basketball is Auburn and Alabama. Yeah, crazy.
The Iron Bowl.
Exactly.
The ball round in this game. It's weird.
We got another great game that I'm looking at to start us off here at Dave and Dave. And that's the number 1 defense, Houston Cougars, heading out to Cactus Land, heading out west to Arizona, who has been tough on me these first couple of weeks, but very tough at home. I'm taking Arizona. Caleb Love is a force with that team. Arizona's 8th in the nation in rebounding. They're playing against the number 1 defense in the nation, Houston Cougars. But the Cougars really haven't, faced a really tough opponent on the road in a while. I think it's going to be a great battle, a great match. I love Houston and their unders. They've won some money for me. But I'm taking Arizona. They're going to be at home against a tough Houston team. They're only getting 1.5 points. But I like them. Take the Arizona at home versus Houston to kick off our Dave and Dave college hoops forecast.
He's throwing it right back at you because now should we call up U of A in Tucson and warn them? Say, hey, I don't know. You guys better bring in a ringer for this game because both Daves picked you against the best defensive team in the country. A lot of different things going on here. Obviously, the home court is huge. This could actually be the kind of game, and this is kind of what I'm hoping for, because I like Houston. I like them a lot. I like any team that plays defense in any sport. Thank you very much. And I like teams that pitch and pitch. Anyway, I like Houston a lot, but Arizona has really been cooking lately. They started off the season just losing games left and right. All those weird, pre-conference tournaments that they were in and everything. They struggled. They got smashed by somebody. Can't remember who it was. Might have been Cincinnati. They got their ass beat by somebody pretty bad. But they've turned it around. I mean, you mentioned Caleb Love. I like him. I know he's a talented guy. Here's one thing about him. He plays defense.
Yes.
He's also a very good defender. So when he's not shooting the ball, which unfortunately seems to be a lot, they rely on him for scoring, so he's going to get his share of the shots. And he's not bashful either. he's a pro type player, and I think he's a pro, especially because he is a very good defender. It's like, you get a guy like these on some of a guy like this on some of the guys from Houston. It's sort of like giving them a dose of their own medicine, and a lot of times teams don't like that. Like a good defensive team doesn't like playing a team that's playing tough defense on them. They're not used to it. You think they would be from practicing, but they don't seem to like it. Like teams that press don't like to be pressed in college basketball. This has the makings of a great game. It might not be all that high scoring because of the defense, but that environment, Arizona's home court, one of the biggest edges in college basketball. So I'm with the Cats, and they have risen despite the fact that they have 7 losses, which, at this point
started out
on the end season, really.
Yes.
Yeah, they did. They had like 5. They had a losing record at one point, Arizona, like 4-5 or something like that. They do have 7 losses, but they have climbed up the power index pretty significantly. I believe right now, one that we kind of use a little bit has them at 7th, and they're not that far from the top. They're really not that far from the top. They've got them above some really good teams, not programs, teams. But
they're tough. They're defensive.
lost.
They're 8th in the nation in rebounds. So, as long as Houston misses, they should be there to collect them. And like you said, they have a lot of success at home. Very, very nice place.
Houston can go through offensively. Houston can go through some dry spells in their games where you'll think they're totally in control because they're shutting the other team down so much.
Yes, they do.
They'll go 5 minutes without hitting a hoop, and all of a sudden you got yourself a game. They don't want to do that too many times this week because Arizona will make them pay for that. So anyway, we're both on Arizona. So you are up again.
All right, lads. Well, good eye, y'all, Bola. Heading over to the ACC, and a team that I know you and I both enjoy watching, Clemson Tigers. They got a tough road game here. Florida State hasn't been good for a while, but they're getting better. They're actually on a little bit of a roll. Their last 4 or 5 games, they're playing competitive.
I'll have to take your word for that.
Yeah, they're playing competitive ball.
Beginning of the season, they were awful. I watched them play. It was not pretty.
No, Clemson's got, what's the name of that player? Chase Hunter. He's a stud. He's averaging 17, 18. Oh, they got great team.
Tobacco Road, they took down Duke, and then they killed North Carolina.
We both had Clemson, and no hangover afterward. You expect you beat Duke, and then you get a letdown. But
I think they might against North Carolina.
The Tar Heels, Yeah, they're going up to my neighborhood up there in Tallahassee, and Florida State, they needed 51 points in the second half to beat Wake, but not against the Tigers. I don't think so. It's tough. They're laying 4.5 on the road, but I'm taking Clemson against Florida State, laying the 4.5. ACC battle for my pick.
I thought maybe you're going the other way, the way you were talking up the Seminoles.
No, I'm sticking with the Tigres.
They don't have the
Tigres and Clemson. Right? Where are you headed, my friend?
Won't changing the names of sports teams anymore. Are the Redskins going to go back to being the Redskins now that Trump's in office?
The Redskins want it to happen. They're kind of pissed off, but the Seminole Indians are firmly en route.
Different for Milton. Little advertising.
They rule Florida both ways. They run.
Rock Seminole Casino.
Exactly. We finally got a betting avenue. They loosened the purse strings a little bit.
Dick Crowley went to Florida State and said, "Whatever you do, don't change your name." Like it. With the chief going out there with the spear in the middle of the field. Sure. Go ahead. Keep doing it. All right. Well, I don't have anything on that game. So I'm leaving you to your ACC madness. In fact, I don't have any ACC games picked, and I was trying to get a little bit of East Coast, a little bit of but man, it's just so. The season seems to be really heavy on SEC for one thing, and then maybe Big 12 after that. A little bit of Big 10, a little bit of Big East, a little bit of Big East. We still got some teams. We do have the 2-time defending national champions here on the right hand coast. So
Yes, you do.
and we got a very much improved St. John's team.
They're fun to watch.
They are definitely.
Give us your second pick there, Dave, before the hourglass works.
Right, I'm going with East Coast game. We were looking at this a week ago. We are looking at the fact that the home court in the Atlantic 10 seems to be very important.
Ouch.
So important that I'm going to end up going against a team that I actually kind of like, which is St. Joe's. I'm going to take George Mason at home against St. Joe's, maybe in the 4 to 6 point region, and primarily because there is this decided home court edge in the A10.
Or is
to prevail. And George Mason is right at the top of the A10, so I am going to take George Mason minus let's call it 5 against St. Joe's, and that's my.
Sounds right. And we know you always bet on 5. George Mason, some history there in the tournament some years back. Let's move right along like we need to. Is there any other team that's more up and down than Kentucky? Is there really a team? They beat Tennessee twice. They lost to Ole Miss by 14 and then to Arkansas at home. Well, here's the answer. Texas. Texas might be more unpredictable. They lost 4 of their last 5 and also to Arkansas.
Yeah, they got me the other
night. Yeah. But they got Trey Johnson, 20 points a game, and he can shoot the tray. And I'm looking for him to do that. A little bounce back for UT. Take them at home. You're laying only 1.5. I think Kentucky, they got to throw in a cold game. They've been on fire lately. Sneaky low. I think Kentucky should be favored, but Texas is favored. You're giving a 1.5. Take the Longhorns for Gulf Coast. Dave.
You're going with those guys. I did look at that game, but I couldn't pull the trigger on that. Couple of times, and I'm only taking them at home. I'm only taking them in a spot that I think they can at least be competitive. And have any?
This is that spot.
Upsetting. All right. I wish you well on that one. I was leaning that way and then couldn't do it. So you do the honors, Your Honor. All right. Next game up. I'm going. Keep it fair. You didn't want to go near this Alabama-Auburn game, huh?
Tell me. Rub the ball, water.
You got to go with you got to pick the Super Bowl. So we're picking the Super Bowl of college basketball. Alabama.
Yeah, I know. Just, they are 2 good old boys are going crazy down here. Rufo.
I admire the heck out of Auburn. I think that there's another team they're fun to watch. They just look like they try to have a good time out there. They don't think about score and time or anything.
And they're deep.
They want to make the big play. I think they're so reflective of their coach a little bit there. I'm not going to say they're well coached. I'm just going to say that their coach is.
Thank you.
He's fun. He's fun. He's had a lot of success. Bruce Pearl's had a lot of success, different places. Seems to get asked to leave a lot, so he must be doing something wrong, but he's also doing something right because his teams normally win. Be that as it may, and I think Auburn does deserve right now in the best conference to be the number 1 team in the country, but as Lee Corso would say, not so fast. Alabama at home. This is a really balanced team that went a long way in the tournament last year. Could conceivably go a long way again this year, maybe even win it. I really like this team. I think I don't think this is going to be an easy game by any stretch for Alabama, but I'm taking them plus, let's say 1, maybe a small line with Auburn as the favorite. Taking Alabama in the clash of the football titans on the hardwood.
All right, lad. That's number 1 and number 2. That should be a great game. I'm going with the number 3 team, laying 16.5 against the team. I don't know. What are they, 15th? South Carolina has yet to win a conference game. Florida's 8-3 in the conference, but Florida looks to me like they should be number 1. Since that loss to Tennessee, reeled off 3 straight, 2 on the road. They beat Auburn by 9. Mississippi State, good program, by 13.
That is sad.
Yeah. Gamecocks, what are they averaging? Giving up 70 points a game. You don't do that against Florida, who can really lay it on. They got this guy, Walter Clayton. He does it all. Leads in points, assists, field goal percentage. Yeah. Florida minus 16.5. Huge number, but Florida can really wipe the floor with these weak teams, especially at home. Laying that big number, 16.5 against the Gamecocks. Gators chewing on the Gamecocks come this Saturday.
You're saying South Carolina hasn't won a game in the SEC?
I'm looking at it. It says 0-11. They've won 10 games, but none of them in conference. Yeah.
I thought they'd hung in there a few times.
Yeah.
I guess they.
I mean, and that's a tough cover. Look at LSU.
It's not.
Yeah. I kept looking at it and re-looking at it. And I'm like, really? 16.5? I tried to make a case for him. And then suddenly I'm like, man, this is staring me straight in the face. Yeah, we've played Florida a few times. Well,
All right. Where are we? Okay. 6-minute warning. I'm up. Trying to not always be gravitating towards on these.
I know it's hard.
And the Big 12 has some pretty good games. I got to give the Big 10 at least a shake here. They got 2 top 10 teams squaring off against each other at night Saturday. We have the Sparty, East Lansing.
Are we going to head-to-head?
And the Champlain, Urbana.
Bring it up.
You had this game picked?
I got him in my wood.
The green. Oh, the green and white. Just like the Eagle, just like the Jets. I am going with the green. I am going with Michigan State. Talk about well-coached. Well-coached program. We were just talking about this a couple weeks ago where I was saying, yeah, I don't know what's up with Michigan State this year. Like, they've looked good a few times. They've looked a little shaky at times. But I said, but somehow Tom Izzo always manages to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. I think he's doing it again. This team is really playing a lot better. Same guys started out the season looking a wee bit shaky to me. And now they're going to Illinois. All right. I know it's a toughie. I just like the direction they're heading in. I think this is a little bit more of a Illinois sort of a team that's sort of in flux, sort of bouncing back and forth. Good performance, bad performance. Michigan State, more good than bad lately. I'm going to take the points. Michigan State at Illinois.
Yeah, I think the line, I got 5.5.
I said like 3 to 5. I thought maybe 5 at the most.
Yeah, well, no, it's if you can look on ESPN, they got the lines on there. It does say 5.5. We'll see what it opens up at later on tonight. But you talk about 2 teams in the opposite direction. That's I was making a case for Illinois. They've won 3 out of 4. Spartans have lost 3 out of 4. But these are teams that are even. 44. They average 44 rebounds a game. Illinois, Michigan State 40. Illinois 85 points a game. Michigan State 80. But yeah, I agree with you. Izzo is a little ticked off with how they're playing lately, especially a home loss to Indiana. That's got to hurt. Now they got a chance, a little bit redemption. They're going down to Illinois. They're going to be a little bit pissed off. Take the 5.5, of course. Yeah, I love them.
Guys we need to warn Michigan State also, huh? All right. I just think it makes sense.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
All right, give me your finale, Davey.
Oh, that's your last?
That is my last
And it was Sparty?
body.
All right. I got one more. Now, it's because obviously we're trying to look for teams that are, playing solid. Maybe they started out the season poorly. Maybe they started out the season looking like absolute shit. And that's the case in the team that I'm looking at right here. Kansas State.
Gotta love
BYU. Kansas State, they were looking like a team that might not be able to win anything in the conference at the very beginning, but now all of a sudden they're rattling off wins, and they're rattling off wins against good teams. I've seen BYU play a little bit. I think they're kind of a typical BYU team, decent shooting. They rely on the 3-point shot, like a lot of college teams, but they definitely do. He's a free throw shooting team, so if they have the lead, you're probably in trouble. But I'm hoping that K-State can hang with them, play tough, getting, let's say, between 7 to 9 points maybe in this game. Taking Kansas State against BYU in a night game on Saturday.
Hey, they reeled off, like you just said. They beat Arizona State on the road. They beat Iowa State on the road. This is a tale of won their last 6. And, just coming off a big win against Arizona. I like SMU, but I don't like BYU. So I'm with you on that, my brother. And that takes us to the end. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Looks like you're looking all svelte there, ready to break some hearts. But let's win some money this weekend.
I just hope these teams don't break mine.
No. We're rebounding, buddy. This is very good.
Very good. All right, Dave and Dave signing off. Hoping all your bets are successful ones. And check out college hoops. It's been a great season for college basketball. Check out a little kickball over the weekend if you're so inclined. It's a lot of fun. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Dave and Dave.